Hello and welcome into another Red Out podcast. My name is Devin. Welcome back. We're glad to have you listening tonight. And we are going to be talking some football, basketball, even some volleyball news tonight. So hang out with us for just a little while.
Hey, how about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC.
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
Welcome back, guys. Good to have you in the studio with us. We've got Jared and we've got the resident old man, Matt McCay, with us talking tonight.
How y'all doing?
So, so we'll start off like we always do. I'm glad you're on the same page I am. We'll start out like we always do. Winners and losers. I'm going to pull one from last week. Utah beating Oregon. Was that not wild?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I was pretty happy about that. And I'm probably going to take somebody's here, but Michigan over Ohio State.
I'm glad to see Jim finally beat OSU. I hate the Buckeyes.
Yes, it was good news for me. Especially since he's Hilltopper family, with his dad and mom, and basically him helping Western when Western was kind of in the dark ages of football.
Yeah.
And then my loser this week is a very vague reference that some of you may or may not know. There is a girl, a woman, on TikTok claiming that Rome did not exist, that it was an invention of the Spanish Inquisition.
Okay.
Now, this is
Rome,
how... yes, ancient Rome. Ancient Rome did not exist. Yes, ancient Rome did not exist. The Colosseums and all of that was built by the church during the Spanish Inquisition to perpetrate whatever. I don't listen to her, so it's just kind of ridiculous. But here's how it pertains to the podcast. She is a WKU alumni.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I am dead serious.
How did you know that? Is it like a teacher or something, or were they wearing a Western shirt or something?
No.
Yeah, please don't tell us they branded WKU with that video.
God, no. No. Yeah, the PR at WKU was like, yeah, let's get on with this. This sounds like a great idea. No. Actually, some of the people who have been watching her videos and kind of trolling her, I saw a comment pop up and was like, is this what they teach at Western Kentucky University? And I was like,
oh, God.
Oh, cringe.
Lord.
I don't know how old she is. I don't know when she was there, but at the same point, I'm just like, oh, hey,
wow.
Not all attention is good attention, is all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
So that's my loser for the week.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Very niche.
I've done a little research this week. I've had some time.
Look at you, Devin.
I know, right? Finally doing my homework.
He did his scouting report finally.
Yes, I did. Jared, who do you have? Who are your winners and losers?
So winner is also a small niche kind of thing. Well, not that small. I mean, it's big. But the Spotify Wrapped is out today, which I absolutely love that kind of stuff. It's like for those of you that especially have Spotify Premium and listen to music through Spotify. So it's basically tells you what all you listen to, like what your most played songs were, who your top artist was, like how many minutes you listen to. And on the flip side of that, there's like the artist page too. Like it tells me how many countries my music had been listened in, like how many listeners I had, how many total streams I had. It's just like I'm a huge stats nerd anyways. So I love being able to look at all the demographics of my music and to be able to see like where all people would listen to my music at. It's pretty crazy. But everybody's
congrats, by the way, right? You had a ton of view or whatever listens and downloads and stuff, right?
Yeah, cool. I mean, for just random music that I recorded at home, I mean, it's done pretty well. I mean, just ambient music, it does have a place somehow, even though it may be in the background. I don't really care. I just wish I actually got decent money from Spotify, but yeah, it's bad.
Do you get any?
Yeah, I do get some.
Okay. Cool, man.
But I think I love the Spotify
I
Wrapped.
put my music on there.
Yeah. I mean,
I would love to hear Matt's music on there.
There's crazier things that may be on there, so who knows?
I would love to hear Matt's.
Oh Lord, I always did like spoofs of like old songs. Like I guess I'm like, I don't know, redneck
Like
Weird Al or something.
There you go.
Yeah. Like
I could just hear Matt doing the
I could tell you off the podcast. I really don't think I should tell you any of them because like I had some in high school that would probably get me fired from any job. Get me
revoked.
High
school.
Yeah, I guess, man.
Political correctness didn't
ones,
exist back then.
Yes, cancel culture will get you, Matt.
Oh yeah,
you gotta watch it.
Let's go back 15 years in time and get me in trouble. I could certainly pull that off.
Hey, I have. Was James Gunn one of those that got in trouble for like an old tweet that was? I don't remember if it was racially or whatever.
Yeah, I need to go back to my MySpace,
but it was like
delete some stuff.
Yeah,
like is MySpace like still a thing? Like, is it still up?
I suppose
I think it exists.
It's like a time capsule at this point.
Like, for example, things that I should probably delete. I had a thing of John McCain in 2008, and my name of my profile was Corpse 08. So,
good gosh,
might want to go back and fix that one. It was a little insensitive.
Yeah, could be a little bit.
That's like the definition of a high school male student, though, is insensitive. As someone that was a camp counselor and has worked with youth in church for so long, yeah, I mean,
that's like if we were judged by our past, truly, like right now, I mean, God only knows what people could come up with for me. I mean, it's just, I got some rough ones. So
yeah,
but you've grown as a person, so it's okay.
Yes.
I have a little bit.
For the most part,
maybe. I like to shout out to my wife because I was an idiot. I still am an idiot, but
we all are.
I mean, she got me on the straight and narrow.
Well, okay, Matt.
Anyway, sorry.
Speaking of past mistakes, what football game was it? I thought of it today when you turned around and shot the double deuces to the crowd.
Oh, it was Arkansas State.
Arkansas State. 2010?
No, it wasn't 2010. Maybe it was 2010. Yeah.
I was going to say, it was either 10 or 11, because I know it was
2010. Yeah, you're right. God.
Yep.
I almost got kicked out, man.
Yes, you did. I remember that.
That was when D-Rock got the 2-point conversion. They reviewed it and said the call stands or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, man. I felt bad and stuff, and I turned around and flipped off the band and in the crowd and stuff. And we scored a touchdown. I was like, "Yay!" And I turned around and I went up to a couple. I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry. That's not me. Whatever. I just got excited." And they're like, "It's all right. Go have fun." I'm like, "Okay, bye."
I just remember the security guy came up and he's like, he's got to go, and the head manager at the time was like, no, I need him. He can't go anywhere.
Yeah, I hold the pins. Listen.
Yeah. He doesn't need to leave. We need
Walter
him.
Wells needed his pins at the end of the game, and if I didn't have them, I don't know what he would have done. He would have had to describe what they were going to do instead of draw it on the board. You're welcome. Dude, I almost cost us the game, though. Because I was like staring at the defense or whatever, and Wells is like trying to explain what he wants, and I'm sitting there like staring open mouthed at the defense, hoping we stop him. And Wells is like, "Where are my markers?" And I hear, "Man, get your ass!"
Well, in your defense, though, I mean, like everybody on the team knew how you were, so it wasn't like. We knew you got really excited and really passionate about games. So,
dude, that was
like
crazy end of the game. It was lot going on.
That was a really good game. Yes.
So,
yes. Well,
there was some freak stuff. Like anyway, yeah.
My first big away game. I'll tell this story, and it's probably been told on the podcast before. But anyway, my first big away game was Florida.
Mm-hmm.
That was Tebow, Aaron Hernandez, the big guys. So I'm sitting there in front of 100,000 people or whatever, and first time out, Western takes. I'm just in awe. Like, I have no idea what's going on. I'm just kind of there, and I'm like just looking around, not even thinking about it. And all of a sudden, I hear Elson screaming at the top of his lungs.
He definitely would call out whoever.
Water! Yeah. Where's the water? And I'm like, oh, fuck. Excuse me. And,
frick.
Yeah, excuse me. And I was like, oh, crap. So I take off running in there into the huddle and start passing out water. I remember seeing that on it was on something like the ESPN did a special for Western playing Florida, like right before the game. And I got to see, and of course they were listening to Elson for whatever reason. And it was, him screaming for water. And
it was you.
Yeah, and it was all me. Yeah, of course, you couldn't see me running up or anything like that, but it was just like, cringe.
Oh, man.
It's not as bad as tripping in front of everyone at UK, though, I'm sure.
That was a bad one, too, yeah. That was a bad one, too. I think Matt would have been there for that, but I think you were ahead of me. Because we were towards the back. When
you tripped at UK?
Yes,
what were you talking about?
The last time I was at UK, I think it probably would have been 2010. It probably would have been that same year.
Was it the year we won or the first time we played them?
No. It wasn't the first time we played them. It was.
Okay. It was the double.
We were
overtime.
there.
Several.
We were
like 4 years in a row, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we played them several years
was
in a row.
At UK the time we won?
No. We beat UK. I think that was 12, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 12 and 13. We beat them back to back.
Yeah, so 12 was the first year I remember we beat them. I guess it was probably 11 because we beat them at Nashville.
11. Let's see.
Because it was probably 11 because anyway. So
I think 11 was the 14-3 game in Nashville. Maybe 10 was the.
Okay, you're gonna make me look this up. Okay, I don't remember. I thought. Okay, well we're at Kentucky, in front of 60,000 people, and I'm sitting here running on the field, and I've got this big little tackle box looking trunk, and I'm running on the field, and all of a sudden I just see the corner marker, the pylon, and I think to myself, you know what? Screw that pylon. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to kick the crap out of it and let it go flying.
Those are heavy, man.
No. It's not heavy. It was not heavy in the slightest.
Okay.
I kick that thing, and as I kick it, I didn't realize like they had a metal rod sticking in the middle of it. So as I kick it, I automatically like do this front flip over it. The trunk goes rolling. Everybody's laughing at me that's running alongside me. And I'm just like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So yeah.
So it didn't move or like what?
No, it had a metal rebar thing in the middle of it. And so like when I went to kick it, I thought, well, it'll just go flying because it's got sand in the bottom of it or whatever. Heck no, dude, that thing was solid. I kicked that thing and I rolled over the top of it and went rolling, and the trunk was rolling beside me. So as soon as I could get up and jump up and grab it and take off running again, everybody is dying on our sidelines. They're like, Devin just busted it. Devin just busted it. And I'm like, oh man. God. It's just one of those, you know. Okay,
was it the very first UK game?
It had to have been 2010. We got blown out, 63-28.
Wasn't that like 08?
No, it wasn't 08.
Okay.
I don't think it was 08. I mean, we played Kentucky that year, and we were at Kentucky, but I thought it was like it was either it may have been we were at Kentucky, so I know it was either 8 or 10. But anyway,
it doesn't matter. You busted A.
I busted my A all over the field, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it's it's just one of those where you're like, I hope to God this doesn't make Sports Center. I hope somebody's not watching this.
Not top 10 Devin Stewart.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
that would be brutal.
That would be hilarious. But I digress. Matt, did you do your winners and losers?
Yeah, man. Sorry to get you completely off the rails.
We're always off the rails.
2008, by the way, was 41-3. 2010,
yes,
was 63-28. So it was 2010. You're right. All right. Anyway, all right. So my winner is Western fans the rest of this week. There's a ton of games going on.
Yes.
Like women's and men's basketball is what tomorrow. There's like a doubleheader at Bellarmine. Very
I think so,
exciting matchup.
yes.
And then volleyball Friday, football Friday, and then men's basketball playing Eastern at home. And then the women play Tennessee Tech. There's a ton. Basically, if you turn on ESPN Plus and search Western, you're pretty much going to find the Western game. And then there's obviously the football game on CBS Sports. So tons of stuff for Western fans to watch this weekend. And then my loser is Cincinnati football because they are probably going to get screwed again.
Yep.
They're sitting there at number 4, and even though Oregon lost, Oklahoma State is like 5th now, and they play Baylor, who's a top 10 team. And so if Baylor doesn't win, most likely Cincinnati is going to get jumped, and they're going to be number 5 in the playoff unless Alabama loses. So
yeah, if Alabama
really
wins, that'll screw up everything.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they make it because I just want to see what happens when a group of 5 team gets in there. Can they compete? Do they suck? Do they get murdered? I just want to see it.
Imagine if they win it all.
Yeah, I mean, it changes the landscape, and it opens the door for teams like Western to be like, we can win a national championship. We really can. And
I agree.
And just the hope of it, I think it's huge, and I think it also means that they would need to expand the playoff. But
yes.
Anyway,
completely agree.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we can take back that losers and say they're winners next week, but hopefully it all works out for them. But I have a bad feeling there's 2 games that that could go in the wrong direction and lead to some bad scenarios. So for them,
yeah. Well, honestly, in the conference championship, I actually think Georgia's going to beat Alabama.
I mean, so too.
They should. Yeah.
They're doing amazing. I could definitely see it.
5 or 6 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, they're not allowing hardly anything.
I think the most they gave up all year was like 17 against Tennessee.
Yeah, and Bama was lucky to get past Auburn too. I mean, the Iron Bowl was crazy again this year. I mean, like 4 overtimes or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I definitely see Georgia dominating. So Alabama will probably fall out of the top 5. If it would be my luck. I'll just a quick aside. It would be my luck if I'm Cincinnati's coach that Bama would lose, they would drop to 4, Oklahoma would go up to 5, and Cincy would be 6 and still undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just my thing.
It could happen. I mean, yeah. I think that surely if Alabama loses, they should be out. But, I mean, they've got them at number 2, so that if it's really close and it's like overtime or something, you know, I could see them saying that they're still ahead of Cincinnati. I mean, I don't know. I get frustrated with that. Like, there's no question that Cincinnati deserves to be in there. And if Alabama has barely beat the 2 of these teams that Auburn, and then they lost to Texas A&M, like, come on, like, let somebody else get in there one year and let's see what happens when Alabama's not in there.
Exactly. I agree. You know, and are we to the point as a sports collective that we're just tired of Alabama winning?
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how I feel too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Nick Saban's philosophy on things with sport, with his team and stuff like that. But at the same point, I'm just like, can we watch somebody else? You know, I mean, like even Clemson this year, they haven't done a lot. They've just kind of fallen off.
Oh yeah, they are still ranked, but man, they were horrible to start the year. They couldn't.
Yeah, they had a really rough start. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
I digress.
Alabama would be human.
Yes, I digress. Let's get back to let's talk something positive. Western sports. Another winner. I just want to throw out real quick. I'll go to ESPN and I do a lot of my numbers through ESPN. Western soccer has made it to ESPN.
There we go.
That's hilarious. I figured volleyball would be up there, but no. It's Western soccer. So when you do the little search bar and you just type in WKU, it pops up at the bottom like college soccer women's or something like that, and I was like, so I just clicked it because I'm like, what is this? And it's women's soccer. Anyway, so we got volleyball, 27-1, wins Conference USA this year, gets the automatic bid to the big dance. I mean, were we really surprised though?
Not really.
No, they returned everybody, and they went to the Sweet 16 last year.
So is the Sweet 16 the goal this year, if not farther?
I would say try to get farther. I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. They have a tough draw, to be honest. Like,
so they've got South Carolina's a tough one, you think?
Well, I mean, they're 14-14, so obviously they're not that great, but they do have some decent wins, and they've competed well with some teams that I think Western would struggle with. So they have the talent that they could pull off an upset and beat Western in the first round.
Yeah,
but we should beat them. I mean, we should handle them and take care of business. But Western struggles with teams that tend to be a little bigger than them. Fortunately, none of the teams that they're facing that they could face are like massive. Like they don't have any, 6'7" girls or whatever. But they're a little bit bigger than Western. Each of the teams actually is a little bigger. So,
yeah,
I think it's kind of a tough draw. I think Georgia Tech, if Western makes it to the round of 32 after South Carolina, I think they'll be pretty tough to get past. I think they're really good and athletic and stuff.
We are actually in the same bracket as Louisville. I just found that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we have to run through Louisville to get to the Final Four.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
In the Elite Eight.
If we get to the Elite Eight or the Final Four, then yeah, definitely we'll have to face them. But South Carolina, I read, actually beat number 7 Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. See, that's what I'm saying. Like they have some quality wins along with some head scratching losses, but they played a really tough schedule. That's how they got in at 500.
According to WKU Sports, this is one of 3 times Western and South Carolina have met. This will be number 4. And South Carolina has the advantage at 2-1. And they haven't played each other since 1993. So before Jared, yeah.
That's the year I was born.
You were born in 93? Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Oh, my gosh. Anyway, so like Matt was saying, they were 14-14 overall. They've beaten Washington State, Rice, and Kentucky. They are going to be playing at 3 to 3:30 p.m. Central. So I'm guessing it can start anywhere between 3 and 3:30 on Friday, December 3rd. So in 2 days, 2 days as we're recording. And then they will play, if they win that game, match, whatever. If they win that match, they will be playing on Saturday, December 4th between 4 to 6 p.m. Central against either Georgia Tech or the Citadel. And I don't know anything about Georgia Tech or the Citadel, so
I did a little bit of research. Citadel, I mean, I would be shocked if Citadel does anything.
Okay.
They're obviously like one of the bottom 10 teams or so that made it into the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
They did win their conference, but they were like, I think they had a losing, or they were like 8-9 or 9-8 or something in their conference. So they're about 500 in their conference. So they upset some people to win their championship. But they do have some size, and they've got some decent players and stuff. But I would expect Georgia Tech to sweep pretty much. And I think Georgia Tech's only ranked like 13th or 14th. Yeah, well, they're the 8th seed. But in the polls, they were like 13th or 14th. But, man, they had a really, really tough schedule. The ACC was really good this year. And anyway, they had 5 losses, but they were all to quality teams. I think there was one that it didn't end up being a ranked team, and that was Notre Dame, who was ranked at the time. Who Western beat, by the way. But anyway, there were a few common opponents, and there were similar results between Western and Georgia Tech. So I think it should be a good game. I honestly picked Georgia Tech to beat Western in the round of 32. I think they're going to be a little strong for us, but obviously we had the experience we made it to the Sweet 16 last year. They made it to the round of 32. So it's going to be interesting, but it's a really tough road to have to face an SEC team that could beat anybody and then face ACC team who could possibly win the whole thing to try to get to Sweet 16.
Now, I'm no volleyball expert or anything, but I feel like South Carolina has that upside potential that is what makes them dangerous, correct?
Yeah, it's like a lot of Western fans would recognize when Dennis Felton was the coach at Georgia, and everybody was talking about how Georgia is they're a 15 seed, but they're dangerous on a number 2 seed, and they ended up losing. But they have that kind of like SEC talent. They've got bigger girls and stuff like that. They just may be a little young, or it didn't come together for them. But hey, they're SEC talented, and they did beat some good teams. So you better pay attention to them because they could pull out one of their better games and shut you out. So
yeah, I appreciate your analysis. It's always welcome.
Check out my keys to get to the Sweet 16 article if you need some details.
Definitely. If you are not, check out the Towel Rack. We have a new website. We are on Substack. And that is actually going to be very convenient for you because if you subscribe to our Substack, you will get emails daily whenever articles come out. So you don't have to go to the Towel Rack and look for it. You can just sit on your phone or whatever and go to your email. Boop, there it is. Just read away. That's my plug. That's my plug for that. So there we go. But like I said, the next round we'll be playing December 4th at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, Georgia Tech or Citadel, if we make it. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Is the games available to watch, like ESPN Plus or something?
ESPN Plus, yeah.
Good.
And
good.
Also locally, it'll be on 102.7 on the radio if you don't have ESPN Plus.
If you're not local, ESPN Plus. If you are local, 102.7. Is that what you said?
Yeah, 102.7. I think it's ESPN 102.7. And they may possibly have it on the app, on the WKU Game Day app. I know they got a women's basketball, but anyway.
That'll be sweet. Hey, that's awesome. I mean, like you said earlier, these girls are SEC caliber, but these girls we got are Hudson caliber. So let's go.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. There you go. It's amazing. He's so amazing. I mean, these girls are.
He really is.
I mean, gosh,
he knows how to recruit. He knows how to recruit girls. It's my car warranty. Sorry. And he knows how to recruit these girls, and then he knows how to get these girls ready. I mean, they need to put a statue next to Diddle and make it Travis Hudson. That's all I'm saying.
Seriously, I'm all about it, man.
So let's slide over into Lady Tops now, Lady Top territory. Going from the last time we talked, the Lady Tops played Kentucky State. They won 96-59. On the 24th, they played Indiana State. They beat them 83-65. And then on the 28th, which was 3 days ago, they beat Tennessee State 77-65. Matt, what did you think? Did you watch some of these games? What do you think about the girls?
I got to see a little bit of it. I haven't seen a ton of them yet. But I'll just say, just looking at some stats and stuff, just kind of paying attention, they're already more than halfway to their win total last year. They were 7-16 last year, so they're already 4-3. They have a winning record. They didn't have a winning record at all at any point last year. In the exhibition, they scored the most points that they've scored since like 2000, or it might have been the 90s in any game. So of course it's exhibition. So obviously it's not the Bible on how good they're going to be, but I mean, it's an indication that they're actually going to be able to score some points this year. They did have one bad game against Kansas State. They lost. They only scored 44. But every other game, and they actually lost to UT Martin, only scored 47. But most games they've been scoring in the 60s, upper 60s to kind of the 80s and 90s. So I think they're going to be pretty decent, or at least not awful. I mean, last year was torture trying to watch the Lady Toppers, and they were a little better when Raneem got back, but they were still a mess. And I think they're decent. They're playing hard, and they're at least they're entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
so
the only thing we need now is for people to show up and watch them play.
Yeah, amen.
These girls need support. Seriously, I agree, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, they deserve it. They work really hard, and they're entertaining, and they've been better than the guys the last decade.
Overall,
in terms of results. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go see a win, go see the Lady Toppers the last decade, because the guys were more likely to lose than the girls.
The girls are going to be playing the Bellarmine Knights. They're at Bellarmine. So Bellarmine is 1-4 and 1-0 at home right now. So that game is at Freedom Hall, which is kind of interesting.
Is it Freedom Hall?
Yeah, that's what it says on ESPN. It's at 6:30 Eastern, December 2nd. So tomorrow night, 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for you all. It is on ESPN Plus. So, like I keep preaching, if you got little girls, if you've got a young lady who wants to play basketball or has an interest in basketball, let them watch these girls play. They need idols to look up to if they want to play sports like this. So, support it. And then, of course, the ladies are going to be playing Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles. That's at Western on December 5th, and that game is at 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Plus again. I love ESPN Plus. I'm not even going to lie. I don't know about their announcers sometimes, but I do like that the games are always Western games are on ESPN Plus. And then, of course, let's see. We have another game on December 15th against Miami, Ohio.
They got a break for finals, and then they come back.
Yeah.
And play a bunch of games on the road.
Hey, that being a student athlete, that would be like super hard to get ready for finals.
Mm-hmm.
Like the week before, you got 2 games, and then you got to go into your finals.
I mean, I know it was difficult for us, Devin. I mean, did you have issues in the fall trying to figure out how to get your work done? And
dude, I didn't go on I stayed away from a trip so I could take a stupid quiz for a class. Because
that's your problem. I just failed my classes, but
you still got that.
Just pass it in the spring.
He's good to go.
Hey, stops, right?
That's right. They needed me.
That's right. Yeah,
no, dude, my first semester as a Topper football manager, my GPA started with point. I got a 0.8. So I had to learn how to adjust, man. It's hard. I mean, it really is hard.
It was very hard.
I can't imagine, like we were working, I was working at a gas station too. So, I was working hard, and I during the fall, I seriously usually would have like maybe 3 or 4 days off that I didn't have work or football. I mean, it was 6 days a week, and then you go to work on the 7th day.
Yeah.
And that's just how it was. So I had to figure out how to make my life work, and it was difficult. And I can't imagine being an athlete, getting beat up and physically exhausted, and then you're trying to do your homework at 11 o'clock at night, and you're falling asleep, and it's tempting to miss class. It's tough.
From my experience with the guys, and depending on where they fell on the academic spectrum, like they were so scheduled in season, like, weights in the morning, breakfast, class, meetings, lunch mixed in there, practice, the treatment, and then after treatment, after practice, then they had to go do study hall. Some of them did. So, I mean, basically from when they got up in the morning to when they went to bed, their day was scheduled. They had no questions as to what they were doing.
One of my favorite things the NCAA Hall of Champions has in Indy, I don't know if they still have it. They change their exhibits a lot. It was this whole thing. It was like a whole schedule, like time slots of like what a standard student athlete schedule was. And you have to try to figure it out and have certain hours to do that and actually try to put together a student athlete schedule that works in the right slots of hours. And man, it was hard.
It's I do not envy them whatsoever. And I mean,
it's a full-time job.
It is. It really is. And I mean, even trying to figure out like Matt said, going from high school, and I don't know about you, Matt, but I didn't study in high school. I did homework right after the class was over for that class, or I did it right before that class started. Mm-hmm. And trying to learn how to study for that class was a super hard thing to do. Mm-hmm. To go from not having to do anything to actually doing work. Because I had, no joke, I'll swear on a Bible, I had a 95 average in high school and I didn't have to crack a book. All I did was pay attention in class. That's it.
Well, you went to Allen County, right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I wasn't just going to say it, but
I went to Greenwood, so it was a much higher academic standard.
I will say I was either 20 or 21 in my class with a 95 average. And the valedictorian and salutatorian was like 99.1, and one of them had like 99.2 or something. It was just like such a minuscule difference, and it was like, good God.
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
Back to the topic at hand. So let's scoot into men's basketball, because that's where I'm sure everybody wants to hear anyway. Did you watch the game last night, Matt?
Minutes on volleyball and women's basketball.
Yeah, we're at 36 right now. Did you watch the game last night, Matt? Or Jared?
I didn't really need to.
No,
I watched like a few minutes, and I was like, "This is torture for me to watch." And I love Western. Like, I felt guilty.
It should have been rated R for murder. Yeah,
it was literally beating a dead horse.
Oh, it was
a dead lynx.
Yes,
shame on us for scheduling them. Like we should have. I don't know. We should have played the walk-ons only or something like.
They could have played an intramural team and had more competition.
Seriously,
they could have played.
You were
Legacy
talking about your intramural team, Dev. Put old D-Rock out there.
Dude, my intramural team, we were garbage. I mean, the only thing we had, here's the rules, and this is how we got around it. You could not be an athlete in that sport. So basketball players could not play intramurals basketball. Football players couldn't play intramural football, yada, yada, yada. So, like, the baseball team was the loaded team, the loaded intramural team.
Oh, yeah.
And they had won, like, the past couple years. And so our team was named Uncle Jarvis. And that was Hank Wilson's idea. Okay? Just want to throw that out there. That was his idea because he saw some HBO special about some dude who stole radios out of cars. And he thought it was hilarious. So we were Uncle Jarvis. I still probably have that shirt at home. I don't know, at my parents' house. I don't know if I do or not. Anyway.
He's come a long way since Uncle Jarvis.
Yes, he has. Yes,
the Hank Wilson zone.
Yes.
He owns an end zone in the football stadium. What the heck, dude?
Yeah, with his own little, what is that, a Bitmoji guy or whatever?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we had Hank Wilson, who was a video guy for years for Western. We had Brett Riley, which I don't know if you met him, Matt. He was a manager.
Brett, yeah, we're friends and stuff. And
I love Brett. Brett's a great guy.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
And it was Casey McDowell. He was both of those were managers. All three of them actually lived in the same house together. That's how they were buddies. And then of course I got thrown into the mix. We played touch football for years together, and then we got two ringers with Darius Brooks, who played cornerback and wide receiver, and we got Tyler Bruce, who was a backup quarterback. And Brooks, I think, scored like 30 points, and Tyler Bruce scored like 15, and the rest of us scored like 10 collectively. That was it. That was all we had. And we got beat like 60-75 or something. I don't even remember what the score, but we got knocked out the first round, and it was so disappointing. Like, I was so looking forward to this. I was like, this is going to be so much fun.
Dude, D-Rock was a freak, man. He was...
They were actually really good. Yeah. Like, Bruce would chuck it down the field, or down the court, and Brooks would just, like, dunk it. And it was like, I'm like, I don't even really know why I'm here. I should just sit back and enjoy this show.
Yeah.
That's basically like, I'm like, I'll just get rebounds. And of course, everybody's like, oh, you're going to foul out. You're going to foul out. And I was like, I fouled like one guy and he hit both free throws. And I'm like, well, shit, this ain't even worth it. I don't need to foul him. I'm like, I don't need to be fouling anybody because this is not going to work at all. And then Casey fouls out. I remember that. It was like, what are you doing, dude? Of course, everybody's like, this is intramural. Don't take it so seriously. And I'm like, but it's like, don't foul out, goofball. So, anyway. So Western played Rhodes College, beat them 105-35. 105-35. Just want that to sink in for a second to our listeners. They beat them by 70 points. Like, that's not even entertaining.
It's unacceptable. They should have won by 90. That way we could actually say Tops by 90.
Honestly, I agree with everybody I've seen and heard on Twitter and Facebook and everything. It's kind of annoying at that point, 70 points.
They only scheduled that game just to have an extra home game and say that they had the record for most home games in the season. That's the only reason. That, or they think the team is so bad they need a blowout win against a D3 college. So I hope it's not that.
I think it is option one. I hope it's option one.
That's the type of game you win by 70 points and your resume gets worse.
Yes. Like, you get judged by that resume.
Mm-hmm.
So, not going to talk a lot about that game because it was ridiculous. We beat UT Martin 81-66, which was not a pretty game, I understand.
Yeah, their 3-point shooting was pretty good. UT Martin's was.
Yeah, they stuck with us pretty good there until about about 9:20 to go in the second, and then Western just kind of started inching away. But as far as the stats go for UT Martin game, Western shot about 36% from 3-point land. We shot 50% field goal percentage, so that's plus. 14 turnovers, and we had 40 rebounds. UT Martin had 30. So, I mean, that makes a big difference for us right there. Hamilton lead scorer for that game.
Mm-hmm. Hey, he's ended up being basically the most consistent player for the Tops. So really happy to see him doing pretty well.
I mean,
where would we be without him right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are we looking at as far as who's going to be our leader on the court this year? What do you think?
I mean, it depends if we ever get Keith Williams cleared or not. I
Free
mean,
Keith Williams.
I feel like he's going to be a difference maker if and when he ever gets cleared. But I mean, I was really impressed with Sharp over that game stretch, especially the Alabama A&M game.
Yeah, let's talk
triple
about that.
double. But he was the first Hilltopper to ever do it with points, rebounds, and blocks. So there's only two others that were able to do it, and now he's. I think he's going
to end up being like my favorite Western player ever. Like
same.
He's 7'5". He's big like me, and I mean not quite like me. I'm not. I'm.
I was like, you're not
7'5". I'm 14 inches shorter than him, but he's a big guy, right? I'm usually the biggest guy in the room. So anyway,
a lot of people look up to you.
He throws his body around like he really plays hard, and he wants to be here and all that. Like it's his dream school and all that. Like I love that, man. I think everything about him. I think I really like him.
I do too.
And I mean, even this last game, he had ho hum, 4 points, 7 blocks, and 5 rebounds or whatever in a few minutes. And it's like, God, he's gonna get some more triple doubles just being 7'5" and playing hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that was
impressive.
I did see something. I think WKU basketball or WKU sports Twitter or whatever put it out that they showed him standing next to, was it Bassie's little paint cutout thing in Diddle?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And how much more arm wingspan he had and how much taller he was than Bassie. And it was like, wow, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of excited to see him develop, and see how everything goes.
Because he's got 3 years that he can play, I think.
I think so. I think you're right.
Like that.
Yeah, 3 or maybe even 4 because of the
more
COVID
the merrier
stuff. Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I'm just excited to see where it goes because, man, he's in 6 games, he's already got a triple-double under his belt. Like,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
I'm excited. And of course we played, like you said, you played Alabama AMU and then the Memphis game. We haven't talked about the Memphis game yet. What did you all think of the Memphis game?
Honestly, I didn't think it was too bad. It was, if you liked teams that hold on to the ball, then it was terrible to watch. They had like a combined 50-something turnovers. Both teams did. Nobody knew how to hold on to the ball. But, I mean, that ended up working in our favor because we were able to lead most of it. But in the second half, that's when Memphis kind of caught fire and won. But at least Amani Bates had an off night. I mean, he's going to be like a projected lottery pick in the NBA draft. I mean, he's a really good player. He just didn't do too well against us. But, I mean, I thought it was pretty respectable. I mean, we hung in there at halftime and we're tied with them. But, I mean, I see those flashes of us being a good team. We're just not deep enough. That's when you need a really good senior guard like Williams, for sure. And I saw the need for that in that game. But, I mean, they've been getting better since then. But I'm really interested to see how we do against Ole Miss and Louisville and even Eastern on Saturday. I think that's going to be a closer game than people
Eastern will be
credit.
a good test for sure.
Yeah, it's always a good old school rivalry game. I mean, my dad, he was at Western during the OVC days and all the big games against Eastern. So, I mean, that hatred has been instilled in me since I was born. So, it's fun.
I was one of the last times we played Eastern at Eastern. My boss told me, he's like, you have to wear your raincoat out on the field. And I'm like, it's not raining. He's like, they will pour beer on you as you run out from underneath the Eastern Stadium. And I'm like, you're kidding. He's like, no. And I'm like, good gosh, man. How crazy is this? But, of course, they didn't do that. But, you know, it's just the rivalry. That's just how it goes. Yes, I look forward to the EKU game and to actually be able to say we're playing somebody. And then, of course, after that, we've got Buffalo on, December 4th, we've got EKU at 7 p.m. And on December 8th, we've got Buffalo. And those are on ESPN Plus, looks like. Double check and make sure Buffalo is. Yes. Both those games are on ESPN Plus.
And EKU
so, like I said,
on WKYU as well. So
okay. Yeah.
Watch it locally.
Yes. So if you don't have ESPN Plus, watch whatever Matt just said because I didn't catch all of that.
WKYU.
WKYU. Yes. Watch it on there.
You see your Lost River sessions, man.
I know, right?
Jared, do you get WKYU?
Yeah, I do. I see
oh my gosh, that stuff is brutal.
I used to watch the PBS.
I don't give a damn.
Oh God. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I know. I feel
and
like
then they got these dudes with like 4-foot beards playing banjos and stuff.
See, they need to let me do my ambient music on there. I'm sure that would make the viewership go up.
Oh yeah.
That's right. We'll need to
make a bunch of well noises.
More views and plays than they do.
I'll record over at the Bates Arboretum or whatever outside, and make ambient well noises, and it'll be very artistic. It'll be great.
Oh my gosh. So finally tonight we're talking football.
There's a somewhat important game, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, for number 4 Western against number 1 UTSA, yeah. So let's back up a little bit. Western played the Owls senior night. We beat them 52-17, and it was a glorious night. And then we played Marshall for the Conference USA East, and I do have to say that was a very stressful first half.
Yeah, I was really concerned.
I honestly, and Matt can attest this. Honestly, I went outside and started putting up Christmas lights during the first half. I could not watch it. I was so stressed. I was like, this is crap. I hate Marshall. It's like, screw you guys. I can't do this. My wife's like, you need to go outside and do Christmas lights. Fine, I'll go do Christmas lights. I can't watch this. So, anyway, Bailey Zapp came in, saved us in the third quarter, basically. Between him and Wells going out, I don't know what was better for us. Did Wells make that big of a difference, do you think, Matt or Jared?
I think it did, because you could definitely tell that a lot of the air kind of flew out of their sails when he went down. And I mean, their backup, he wasn't horrible, but obviously looking at the second quarter, the beginning of the second half and the third quarter, I mean, that's when we basically dominated and completely flipped the momentum. And once we had the momentum, we were gone. So it was good to have that. I mean, they didn't have enough time to adjust to fit the offense of a new quarterback on the whim like that after losing their best passer they've had all season. So, I mean, it was difficult, but I mean, I'm not mad with the outcome of the game at all.
Oh no, Lord no.
I'd say, to answer your question, I mean, I'd say it made a little bit of a difference, like maybe a touchdown or two. But I still think, like I was telling y'all in the chat and stuff, like I felt like we were fine. They were coming together, and it was hard to hold us down. Like, just percentages played out, and we were gonna explode. It was just for a matter of how much. And I think if Wells was there, maybe it could have been a little closer, but I honestly feel like we would have won either way. So I don't think it really made a difference, but it impacted it some.
I will say, in Matt's defense, I texted him and I was like, dude, just keep me updated. I can't watch this. Of course, after halftime, I went back in and I started watching again. But he was like, I'm not worried. We got this. Here comes the blowout. And he was right. Flipped the switch, and Western scored 24 points in the third quarter. And, I mean, went up and just dominated. We were only held to 2 field goals in the first, which I don't know what adjustments were made at halftime, but they were well needed. And then, of course, Western. Go ahead.
Sorry, buddy.
No, you're good.
I think it's just the reason that I felt like we were fine. We started, first of all, the first 14 points, they did score on the first 2 drives, but we made them work to get that. So it was sure they scored, but they were getting maybe, 5 yards of play or something. Like, we were making them methodically go down the field, and we committed a few penalties that helped them out and stuff. But the defense was playing pretty well, even though we gave up the first 2 scores. And then it kind of evened out that the rest of the game, the defense played well the whole game. It's just that very beginning, it just made it look like they weren't ready to go because they scored. But I thought they were fine. And
it did seem like the guys came out flat. I will say that.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously the offense was horrible. Zappy was like 4 of 14 for 17 yards into the second quarter. I mean, obviously that's garbage. I mean, he was horrible. And he only threw a little over 50% the whole game. So it was not his best game at all. And that was credit to Marshall. I mean, they were really good defensively. Papa Guidry,
former Hilltopper defensive coordinator, interim coach. Yeah.
Yeah. He did a good job, and they did a good job, and they're really good on defense. When you look at the second quarter, we had some opportunities, and we screwed up, or we would have been at least tied or possibly ahead in the second. And it just kind of felt like right at the end, we were starting to figure out, okay, the quarterback is actually injured and he's probably not coming back. And we were starting to do some things, and it looked like the defense had figured out what they needed to do to basically keep Marshall from doing very much more. And so I just felt like, we're going to get a few scores here busted open, and we'll be fine. I didn't think we'd outscore them 53-7 after being up 14-0, but I mean, I thought we were fine.
Have either of you seen a onside kick returned for a touchdown before?
Never in my life.
I think I've seen it once, but I can't remember where it was from.
I've never seen that in my entire life.
Yeah. It was wild for sure.
I mean, that was just a blown assignment.
I don't know what in the world their kicker was thinking, kicking it directly to a wide receiver, but I mean, you do you.
Yeah. I mean,
that was funny because their guys basically I don't know. I guess they just thought it was going to go past him, and they all ran off to almost way over to the other side of the field, and it left this 30-yard gap that he just basically all he had to do was just run forward, and it was easy money. And there was nobody there.
Honestly, I think they were expecting it to hop. They thought it was going to jump him, and then they were going to.
Didn't he pick it up at the 43? So he picked it up at 8 yards.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter for him.
Yeah, but he went ahead and got it before it had a chance to bounce. I think that was part of the issue.
Typically, when you're on onside kick, your assignment on the kicking team is you take out dude 1 and 2 and 3, and this guy and this guy and this guy are the ones that are in charge of going for the ball. Mm-hmm. So it's a blown assignment. I mean, that's all it was. Somebody wasn't going for their dude, and whatever. But that was one of the first ones I've seen of that. That was wild. And then another thing I want to talk about real quick is that idiot Porter for Marshall.
Oh, getting thrown out.
Yes.
Yeah.
What
I don't know what bench, right?
Yeah, I don't know what in the world you're thinking when you do that.
Dude, he is hyped up on Mountain Dew is all I know. Yeah. Dude goes and sits at the Dairy Queen in Huntington way too much. You got to chill with that. Son.
I'm sure he's been thrown out of an Applebee's or two.
I'm sure he has. He was just and of course, he didn't care. He didn't give a crap if he got thrown out.
You think he's going to make his children in the bathroom of the Rustler's Steakhouse?
This is like some Ricky Bobby stuff going on.
Oh my gosh.
Believe it or not, your father was a charmer.
I could definitely see him wearing his Marshall letter jacket for the next 30 years with a pot belly and a big bald spot. Talking about getting thrown out at the Western game. Oh, I hate them some
them daggone heel toppers.
Yeah, and then he gets kicked out and he acts like a thug, shouting out to the crowd and all this stuff.
Yeah.
He looks like an idiot, man.
Yes. I'm watching him and I'm like, what does he think this is, wrestling? Good God. He wanted something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't go off the bench doing that.
He wanted somebody to throw a punch so he could actually jump in.
What's a shame, though, is the guy was having a good game.
He did.
And, he had that sack. He had the sack, right? Yeah. He's the one making plays on defense, and then he acts like an idiot and gets kicked out. You just ruined everything.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm the coach, I'm going to be going to strangle him Monday morning. I mean, what were you thinking, you idiot?
Yeah.
But I digress. So Western is playing UTSA again at San Antonio this Friday, December 3rd, 7 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network. It's supposed to be 80 degrees, it says, in San Antonio. That's going to be wild.
Yeah, they play
it's in a dome, so it's going to be room temperature.
It makes sense it's in a dome.
Low 70s. Devin, I thought you did your research, man. Come on.
I didn't research everything. Honestly, as I said that, I was like, it's going to be 80 degrees. And then I'm looking at the picture of the Alamo
Dome.
It's a dome.
They're playing in the Alamo Dome.
So earlier today, I will say, the spread was 2.5. Now the spread's gone up to 3 for Western.
Yeah, I saw that. It started at 1.5, right?
Yeah, it started at 1.
So the spread the spread's getting bigger. Normally what happens is home teams get a 3-point advantage. So that's thinking that Western's going to beat them by 6-ish if we were on a neutral site. Just throwing that out there.
I think in college it's actually a little more than that.
Okay.
I think if it was at Western, we'd probably be almost 10.
Hey, that's fine with me. But I think the numbers are low, dude. They're saying 36. Oh, that's not that. Okay. Yeah. They're still saying Western's
over under 72, 73, something like that.
Yeah, 72.5, which I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a high scoring game. And I could definitely see Western. I can see Western throwing up at least 40 points. I think my prediction had more, but
yeah,
I can definitely see Western throwing up some points in this game. And I think UTSA can stay with them as long as they don't have any, major injuries.
I don't know. I'm wondering. I mean, I think the defense is a whole lot better than it was the first time. And
Okay.
I'm really struggling to see if, like, I think we talked about it internally with our chat and stuff. Like, if we beat Marshall, surely we'll beat UTSA. But I don't know. I mean, they're definitely capable. But I just think, like, they've only had a few games where they scored into the 40s, and one of them was against us. So I'm thinking, if we do this again and score in the 40s or so, they're going to have trouble keeping up with us, especially because the defense is just way light years better than it was early on in the year. I think they need to keep us in the 30s to have a chance. And I don't see it.
I mean, unless Zappy plays like he did in the first half against Marshall, which I hope that doesn't happen because, I mean, the Alamo Dome is a hard place to play at. Because, I mean, the interview I did with UTSA Jared, he was talking about how he probably thinks there's going to be like close to 40,000 people there. And the acoustics in the Dome anyways are already like different than any other stadium we've ever played in. I mean, obviously we played in East Lansing, which is good, being in front of a big crowd. We were still able to rack up a bunch of yards and still score there. But, I mean, it's going to be different playing them in their own barn this time. So I think that is going to be a factor. But at the same time, I mean, I think they're kind of on a downward trend right now, and we're on an upward trend. I mean, we've won 7 games in a row. We've been looking really good. So, I mean, I like our chances a lot better this time, honestly, than the first time we played.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we could take back a lot of the games that we started out in the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana,
Absolutely.
I think we could have beat them.
Yeah, it just took our defense a while to mesh for whatever reason. But once they started to click, I mean, they've been doing really good.
Yeah.
Army and Indiana, if we could get those two back, we would beat them. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's all right, man. I just think UTSA had to play their best game then to beat us then with a god-awful defense that could hardly stop anybody. And now I struggle if and I think that they have a pretty weak secondary. Like Jared from UTSA said that in his answers to you, Jared, was basically like, we don't really have that great of a secondary. So I think that's how Zappy was and how the offense was able to get 670 yards or something.
Oh yeah,
it was like
really 600.
Played well, just kind of blew some opportunities, or we could have scored 60 in that game.
We were one bad pass away from winning that game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We really, I mean,
and penalties.
And penalties. But like that, that's a pass that I said earlier in the year that if Bailey Zappi could take it back, he would take it back. Because that one pass is basically, if he'd thrown it to anybody else, we would have probably won that game.
Yeah.
But now we get another shot.
And this one matters more than any of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, I'd rather lose the one at the beginning of the year and win this one than vice versa.
I mean, that's always say. I mean, it's hard to beat the same team twice. So I hope that works in our favor.
Well, that's what happened in 2015, right? We lost to La Tech at the beginning of the year, and then we took good care of business in the championship.
Yeah.
So the final thing I'm going to talk about here real quick is, of course, this isn't scripted. This is just off the hip. Those people who follow teams and concert, bands around, I don't see how y'all can afford that.
Yeah.
Right? Like being an adult, I've got the kid, I got my job, I got all this other stuff going on. I don't see how people can just drop everything and be like, hey, we got tickets to San Antonio. And you're like, you just were at Marshall. What are you doing? How do you follow the team? But I mean, am I alone in this? I mean, I get going to a few games. Don't get me wrong. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I can go to Bowling Green. I can watch this game. I can go to this one. It's close. I can do that, but not every single game.
Yeah, the away games especially. I mean, you better have a good travel visa or something if you're going to be going across the country. As big as Conference USA is spread apart. But I mean, even my junior year of college is when I went. It was just basketball. I went to every single home game except for 2, and I thought that was pretty good. And I mean, I was still a full-time college student and everything at the same time, and I live in Franklin. So, I mean, I was able to make all but 2 of them, and I thought that was pretty decent. I couldn't imagine someone doing all of them plus the away games. I mean, you would literally you'd have to be like your own boss kind of thing or make your own schedule or work from home or something like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was in insurance when I first graduated, and I still am, whatever. But like we do have our ability to make our own schedule and stuff. We did some dumb things and got into some debt to go to some of those games we went to. But I mean, I was still kind of in college mode, so I think we went to every game in 2014, or almost every one of them, besides the one. There might have been one in Florida that's
impressive.
Yeah, no, I seriously did. We went to LSU. We went to La Tech. That 59-10 La Tech game, we were at that game.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was a complete letdown. 59-10 after all that.
Okay, wow.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, we traveled a lot, and it was just choices, and we had that. We had the ability that we could kind of make our own schedule, like Jared said. But I mean, we went to the bowl games and stuff, and
yeah, because I mean, 2014. It was 2015 is when I got to go to the last home games we had, and then the conference championship game, the one against Southern Miss, the very first one we had, and then that's when we went to Miami for the bowl game for that. Because I was desperate, because this was the last time as a student I'd get to ever do this. I was like, I gotta go to this bowl game, dadgummit. I got a free ticket. I just got to get away down there, and that's how I got in contact with you. We went.
So Matt, did you go to the Central Michigan game in the Bahamas?
No, I didn't go to that one. I wanted to. I was sick that I didn't get to go, and and we just couldn't afford it. I mean,
well, no, dude. That's what I was just thinking. I was like, because you said you had incurred a little debt going around to these games,
dude,
and I was like,
we were stupid.
Yeah, if you went to the Bahamas, of course you did, man.
We went to the 2015 Final Four. That was the one that UK was undefeated, and it was Wisconsin, Duke, and Michigan State. We went to the Final Four, and that year we made gross on our tax, or excuse me, net on our taxes. We showed like $4,000. Gross was like 25 or whatever. But we didn't hardly make anything, and we just put stuff on credit cards, and here we are swimming in debt. I learned a lot from following the Tops. Don't do that.
No, just think of how nice it's going to be, though, like 40 years from now when we're all retired and we can just go to be like the boomers now and be season ticket holders. And
I was going to say that
everywhere.
I was going to say that. I had people in my office who were talking about, setting up their retirement and stuff. When you got like a $2,000 budget and you're making, $80,000 a year guaranteed the rest of your life, you got $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year
to blow.
To just go do whatever, or excuse me, no, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 about $4,000 a month that you can just go do whatever you want. So I mean,
that'd be so sweet.
Yeah, I mean,
get those courtside tickets back.
Yep, that's right.
That's right. Get my plane, go fly over there.
And then I can go with you and sit courtside for one game and see us get blown out by 30 points to middle.
You're welcome.
I should have thrown up on the court and just put an end to all of it.
Yeah.
All right.
And then there was another middle game that Justin Johnson, or no, it was the goaltending, and I got kicked out.
It's fun.
They didn't call the goaltending. I let the official know what
I thought. So anyway, Western's playing the biggest game this week. Western's going to be playing UTSA in San Antonio in the Alamo Dome, which is a dome. It's going to be 80 degrees. Apparently it's 50-50 according to ESPN's FPI matchup. The game is going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central on CBS Sports Network. Watch the game, support the Tops. Basketball's got games this week on ESPN Plus.
Tops by 9.
Lady Tops have games this week on ESPN Plus. And volleyball, support them this week. Their games are on ESPN Plus as well. They've got South Carolina, and then they're going to be playing.
Seriously, rest of this week,
Georgia
ESPN
Tech
Plus, search Western. You'll find something.
So follow them, support them. Like I said, follow the Towel Rack, subscribe to the Substack. You'll get your emails and all that good notifications to allow you to keep following all the news and everything. Excuse me, sorry. Ugh. I had Fazoli's earlier, and it is causing some burps. Excuse me.
All good.
So
man. Heartburn.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go take some Tums here in a second. But Sport the Tops, we'll be back next week to cover the Conference USA Championship game. We'll be hopefully talking some bowl games, figuring out where we're going, since Middle's got the Bahamas. Trash. Anyway, so definitely check that out. We'll be back next week to talk that. And we'll be talking more basketball and hopefully talking about some volleyball Sweet 16 matchups. But as always, guys, go Tops.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.